Seeing none? Senator Titus, if you didn't notice yesterday on the floor, when you have something, get yourself, no. All right, Senator Titus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to request introduction of RS 2746. This involves the transfer of a small plot of land to between private entities that's part of a nature reserve. It originally came from the Historical Society. There's a prohibition on the transfer to anybody else, but the entities controlling the area have changed, and so we need to remove that prohibition.
All right. Questions, committee? Seeing none, without objection, that bill will be introduced. Is there objection? Seeing none, the bill will be introduced. Thank you, Senator Titus. Additional bill requests, committee? Thank you. None, apparently, and I'd heard none from the audience. We will pick up exactly where we left off yesterday. And Senator Francisco, you had the floor. You were proposing, by the way, committee, we are working on our recommendation for the Kansas Department of Agriculture. I'm sorry. No, it wasn't. Yeah, I appreciate Senator Titus keeping me straight. It's wildlife and parks. Agriculture is already taken care of and thrilled with what we did. But we are on wildlife and parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had just made asking for a recommendation to add the $300,000 from that was in the governor's budget that and a request from the department that would provide funds for equipment to help with this trying to make sure that all the officers have the same kinds of equipment and same kinds of uniforms. And so they didn't take, I think the concern was they would have to go back to their truck to make another and change to change duties. So I think I'm pleased that the department is looking at trying to be more efficient, and that's my recommendation.
Questions on the recommendation, committee? Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe I didn't hear everything I should have yesterday, but I thought that was, they were trying not to have to go back to the truck and change clothes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe I misspoke. That's what I was saying, that this $300,000 is what would help with that, because they could have the same uniforms and the same equipment.
Senator Alley.
I guess I'm a little confused on what that really is. That's what's included in that $300,000. I mean, that seems like a lot of dollars to change uniforms.
Senator Francisco.
I know it's also equipment. It may be radios. It may be tasers. So if you look at your local law enforcement department, equipment is often a large part of the budget.
Senator Reichman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I just need help to know where it's coming from. I'm trying to find these papers and that 300,000 where it is, and I need help. Thank you.
Senator Francisco, can you point the committee to any place in the documents, or is this strictly in the governor's recommendation?
My understanding is this was a request from the department. It's in the governor's budget, and it would have been state general funds.
Senator Reichman, does that answer enough for you?
No. I was looking for a page and a line item that I could look at or where it's coming from, but thank you anyway.
Mr. Drury, is that in the write-up at all somewhere?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, the governor's recommendation would not be included in the budget summary.
I understand the governor's rec is not, but did the agency request this money in the write-up that we could look at as?
Mr. Chair, no, there was no enhancement or supplemental request submitted by the agency at the time of their budget submission, which would have been in September.
All right, thank you. Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe it was in the letter that came from Secretary Kennedy outlining this request.
Senator Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A question for Senator Francisco, if I may.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Do we know if there have been any safety-related incidents or harm that's come as a effect of these law enforcement officers having to do an equipment change or kind of switch hats of what they're doing there at the park?
Senator Francisco.
I don't know if it's safety. What I think the testimony is it's important for some of these enforcement agents to be able to take on a broader set of responsibilities so that if you're patrolling an area for a wildlife, you may also be able to work with hunters. Those might be two different, anyway, I should know more about this, but the idea was to make this more efficient and also to make it possible for these people to do their jobs more easily and to be in charge of, be able to do more than one silo of that job.
Senator Shane.
Thank you, Senator Francisco. I think really what I'm trying to understand and get a grasp on is this a need, want, desire, right? And I can definitely hear why there'd be a desire to do an equipment update and everything else, but it sounds like there's obviously a lot of moving pieces. This would be more money coming out of SGF in a year that we're trying to minimize additional spends out of SGF. And if there's not an immediate concern, particularly for officer safety, then I wonder if this is an expenditure we'd want to make out of SGF this year.
Senator Reichman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I thank you for whoever said was on the Christopher Kennedy, the secretaries. And the quote, "Law enforcement is essential duty of the department. I respectfully request adoption of the governor's recommendation of $300,000 one time for equipment needs, $737,000 increase in spending authority to fund additional 8 FTEs for law enforcement. Currently, the department has only 61 field game wardens to cover 105 counties and 21 park rangers for 29 state parks." And I was trying to figure out what she was talking about. Thank you.
Additional questions, comments on the recommendation committee? Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. According to our document here, it says that the FTE for the wildlife and parks is 465. The actual FTE, we learned yesterday, was 419. So I think there's about 49 or 50 that are not filled positions that they do have funding for and that they did last year. I would think that they should be able to fund that within their existing, but if not, I think that's a question we should ask. And then if not, that could be something we could look at when we present this to the full Ways and Means.
Additional questions, comments, committee? Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would think that the Department of Wildlife and Parks may have some seasonal staff because we might not have as many visitors in our parks during the winter as we do in the summer. So I think this is one of the departments that I would be hesitant to judge on a January 3rd date in terms of how many people are employed. And then, so I do understand that the House has indicated that more staff were needed. In response to Senator Shane, we're talking about having a proviso in this budget that we've already adopted that says we're asking them for a report about, what their plans are and what the differences and efficiencies can be made. Well, having that equipment is going to be part of being able to go forward with that. So if we've asked for that report now, both in FY '26 and FY '27, then I'm saying it's an immediate request.
That was my thought, Senator Francisco. The agency's looking to totally reorganize, but they do need to make a report to us. So I think we're getting a little ahead by giving them additional funds, because we don't know what kind of reorganization they may or may not provide for the legislature to consider. But in any event, additional comments or questions, committee? Seeing none, we have a recommendation on the table to add $300,000. And I'm certain Mr. Drury has the information that he can make it sound exactly right, but it's for equipment is what I would say. All right. Without objection, that would be the recommendation. There is objection, so we will vote. All in favor, raise a hand. Thank you. Opposed, raise your hand. All right, the recommendation fails. It is not recommended. Additional recommendations for the committee report. Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would make a recommendation that we authorize the additional 8 positions that are going to be funded with existing funds.
So there's a recommendation to increase the agency by 8 state workers. Questions or comments on this suggestion? Senator Bowser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm assuming that 8 FTEs would come with that price tag of $737,000. Is that also part of the recommendation?
Senator Francisco.
It is, but I understand it's authority to spend those funds from their existing P funds.
So, Senator Bowser, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I just would note from the Secretary's letter, it says $737,093 increase in spending authority to fund the 8 FTEs. Yes, thank you.
All right, so this recommendation is strictly for the FTEs. Additional comments, questions? Senator Titus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you refresh my memory? Were these already authorized positions that just were filled over the last year, or are they new positions?
Senator Francisco.
They are new positions.
Senator Titus. Senator Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just, for the sake of reiteration and clarity, so this would authorize the FTE positions, but they need to fit it within their current fee fund budget, correct?
Senator Francisco.
That's my understanding, and I think that we could have research agree if that's the case.
Mr. Drury, would that be correct that these would be new positions funded with existing resources?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The governor's recommendation is the 8 new FTE positions. She does recommend increased expenditure authority. So that's to say no additional monies going to the agency, but allowing the expenditure limitation to increase by the number that was indicated by Senator Bowser. So I would ask for some clarification if that's for the FTE and the increase of expenditure authority, or just the FTE.
Thank you. Senator Francisco.
I'm glad we had Mr. Drury weigh in. Yes, I would like to make that recommendation for both the FTE and the expenditure increase.
All right, so we're talking 8 additional FTEs, an increase of $737,000 plus for additional spending authority within existing resources. Senator Bowser.
Yes, so thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'd like to ask for a little clarification, and to Senator Alley's point, we have the agency has 465 authorized FTEs. They've got 419 of those FTEs filled, 46 open or unfilled. Do we know if those are seasonal workers, I hate to keep authorizing additional FTEs if we've already got head count there and maybe we don't need 8 more. I don't know. Clarification.
Question of staff. All right, Mr. Drury.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Most of the time, those seasonal employees do not show up as an FTE account. They may on occasion, but most of the time they don't. The agency has indicated that, again, that FTE report that we had as of January 6th, I believe, as a snapshot in time. So it is likely that most of those are in a period of recruitment or they're currently trying to fill them. And agencies may, they do have the authority to repurpose an FTE. That is to say, as needs change, changing from like a custodian to a different type of position, they do have that authority as well.
Senator Bowser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, thank you for that clarification. So again, my understanding is we've got 46 open FTE positions that are not seasonal, and we're asking for 8 more. Thank you.
Senator Bowser, it sounds like the chair's starting to rub off on you a little bit. Additional questions, comments? Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I got a question for revisers. Do these fee fund employees, the FTEs, do they fall under the bill we passed last year, Senate Bill 125?
So I don't know if that would be a revise or a research or both.
Basically, that bill says that if they aren't filled, those positions go back and they're come back. We talked about that yesterday in Commerce. And I didn't know whether they fell under that restriction.
All right, Mr. Drury.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, those would not, they would not be captured in that. That is because the way that that is written, in my understanding, is that that FTE would need to be associated with funding. And those seasonal workers many times can be, again, not fall within that. Some may, but they would need to have that specific position tied to specific funding. So if those seasonal workers are not tied to a specific FTE number or position number, it would not be subject to those lapses. I would also note that my understanding of those lapses would be general fund, and the agency traditionally has not received general fund for funding, so I'm not sure if, generally speaking, if that would be captured in Senate Bill 125.
Senator Alley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't believe we're talking about the seasonal employees that on the FTEs, a full-time equivalent. So that was the question, but I fully understand P-Fund is different than SGF on that, but I still think we need to be aware that we have 465, we only filled 419. We have some money in there setting aside for FTEs. So I'll just leave it at that.
Additional questions, comments, committee on the recommendation? Seeing none, so the recommendation is 8 additional FTEs and additional spending authority of $737,000 plus for the agency. Without objection, that will be part of the committee recommendation. Is there objection? There is objection. So we will vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. Opposed, no. Raise a hand. Thank you. Recommendation fails. Senator Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have talked with some individuals who are on the House committee, and they have already, I understand, heard this budget. They are recommending the addition of 3 FTE out of the fee funds. And I think some comments were made in that meeting that they understood that the department could use even more. So I would like to make a recommendation that we authorize an additional 3 FTE and an increase in the spending limit proportional to that.
Senator Francisco, do you know? If not, we'll ask staff, what kind of approximate money we're talking about for additional spending authority?
I would say 3/7 of $765,000.
Mr. Drury, can you give us a better answer than that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I can. I should have my documents here. The senator was noting the recommendation from the House, and
Have to follow the House, but anyway, I'll go. Sorry, I interrupted, but that was,
thank you, Mr. Chair. That would be approximately around, if it included equipping the positions as well, it would be around $375,000. But again, I can make a quick tabulation of just the salaries and wage piece, and then give that to the committee if you just give me just a little bit to pull up my calculator.
sure. Senator Francisco.
I would include the 375,000 as the authorization.
All right. Questions, comments on the recommendation of 3 additional FTEs and additional $375,000? We'll get the exact amount, but approximately $375,000 in spending authority. Seeing none, that will be part of the committee recommendation without objection. Is there objection? There is objection. So we will vote. All in favor of the recommendation, raise a hand. Thank you. Opposed to the recommendation, raise a hand. Thank you. It is not, does not pass. It is not part of the recommendation. Additional recommendations for the committee report to Full Ways and Means Committee. Seeing none, we will go with the recommendation. And briefly, Mr. Drury, if you don't mind, since it was yesterday, can you reiterate what will be the committee recommendation?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have deleting the SGF appropriation deleting the SGF to the agency in 2026 and 2027 with making up that difference with fee funds. So that would be a net zero reduction, but a deletion of the general fund. The proviso language that was discussed yesterday for FY 2026 and 2027, the general fund deletion for 26 and 27 as well. And then I do have that in 2027, the park fee fund will be able to keep the interest earned as opposed to remitting that to the state general fund as part of the recommendations.
All right, thank you. Did our staff miss anything, committee, to your recollection? I didn't think so. So that will be the committee recommendation for Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks. All right, committee, we've got right at 30 minutes to see if we can wrap up the Kansas State Fair. If not, we can certainly meet at noon, lunchtime, or Saturday morning. Just kidding about that last. No one seemed to. But Mr. Drury, if you would step up to the microphone and give us an overview of the Kansas State Fair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am Luke Drury, Senior Fiscal Analyst with Legislative Research. I will be presenting the Kansas State Fair budget to you, and I do know, as the Chair indicated, we do have about 30 minutes, so I will do my best to be thorough, but also at the same time to be mindful of the time. Beginning on page 565 is where this document now starts. This is the finalized publication of the budget summaries from Legislative Research. You do have an executive summary there stating what the State Fair generally does. I would note on this first page, FY 2024 and FY 2025 actuals, you do see state general fund expenditures and all fund expenditures higher than in 2026 and 27. I would note for the committee that is mostly related to capital improvement projects, more specifically the Bison Arena renovations, and the State Fair was also appropriated at the same time as that Bison Arena, some monies for facility upgrades, including putting some AC units in, a public address system, reworking some of the roads at the Kansas State Fair. Flipping on to the next page, 566. The budget policy snapshot does indicate some of those supplemental and enhancement requests as requested by the agency. I will discuss those in more detail when we get to FY 26 and 27. Flipping over onto the next page, 567. the 10-year summary of expenditures. Again, of note for the committee, those 24 and 25 numbers, you do see a spike there. Again, that is going to be related to capital improvement projects, specifically as it relates to the Bison Arena and to the State Fair facility upgrades. I would also note that beginning in FY 2027, part of the agency's base budget would include no state general fund. As you can see, traditionally, the State Fair has received some general fund dollars, but moving forward, they will not. And I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail as well. Next page over, 568, does show that chart again of capital budget expenditures along with operating expenditures. You do see again that capital budget there spike as a result of those projects. The next page, 569, this is state operations. Again, some more detail for the committee so you can see where those expenditures show in the budget and then where they actually show and then where agency budgets for. I would note that your fees for professional services are where you're going to see some of the higher expenditures for state operations. That's going to mostly relate to those folks that come to the state fair and perform. I would note that the state fair does indicate they have 149% show pay. So that is to say that if they spend $1 million on a person to come and perform at the state fair, they will collect about $1.5 million revenue from that. So it's a net increase based on ticket sales to those events. Flipping over onto the next page, 570, you do see capital debt and expenditures along with expenditures and FTEs by program. On page 571, you do see some expenditures by fund. As I indicated before, the state fair is mostly a fee-funded agency. They have had some expenditures for state general fund, but moving forward, that will not be the case. I would also note then for the committee, at the bottom of page 571, you will see, it will jump off the page, the ending balance for the State Fair Fee Fund does show a negative balance in 2025, and then as a result of that, a negative balance in 2026. State agencies cannot have a negative balance legally. They cannot end a fiscal year in the red. That is the result of encumbrances, and so that is to say estimated or expected expenditures that never actually occurred, but they still show up in the accounting system as expenditures. I've spoken with the State Fair, and they have had about $218,000 in encumbrances that have since been released. So that is to say just some cleanup to release those expenditures, and as a result of that, that would change this red number to be a net positive. However, you would still note that the ending balances in the State Fair are estimated to be, they have went down and they are estimated to be relatively low in comparison to overall expenditures from that fee fund. Flipping over onto the next page, 572, that is the State Fair Capital Improvements Fund. Same situation here. You do see the negative expenditures, the negative ending balances. And again, that's going to be mostly related to some of those expenditures in FY 2025 that were actually encumbrances. The State Fair has indicated that it does know about this. And again, some of those encumbrances can be released. And again, state agencies cannot legally end a fiscal year in a negative cash position. Flipping over onto the next page, 573, is the FY 2026 analysis. Item number 1 is that approved budget. That was $9 million, including $365,000 state general fund. Item number 2 is the lighting project. The State Fair, as members of the committee may remember, has been approved for ARPA dollars and state general fund for lighting and cameras over the last couple of fiscal years. However, at the end of FY 2025, the agency did have an amount of monies lapsed for a lighting project. That is because the State Fair was not appropriated state general fund funding in FY 2026 for the purposes of operating expenditures. So when they did not finish that project, the money had nowhere to lapse or to roll forward to, and so as a result, mechanically, they did lapse. The agency's request on 574 does include that lapsed amount plus a little bit extra. Therefore, that's why you see that $250,000 request from the State General Fund to finish up that project. Item number 3 is the shuttle and tent reimbursement. Members of the committee may know or remember if you attended the state fair this year, it was a relatively wet state fair. They did have situations occur where some of the parking lots were shut down. Folks were got stuck in the parking lots. They had folks pulling them out. They had opened up some temporary parking spots around local businesses around town. So as a result of that, the state fair did buy some tents and whatnot so patrons could stand underneath them. They also did rent some buses to create a shuttle service to get them from the parking lot to the state fairgrounds. The state fair does request to be reimbursed to the amount of $20,507 for that. Item number 4, State Fair Capital Improvements Fund. You will see an increase here of $620,000 from the State Fair Capital Improvements Fund. This is notably because the State Fair is beginning to budget all capital improvement expenditures from the Capital Improvements Fund. I would note that previously the State Fair had used their general fee fund for some capital improvement expenditures as well. Moving forward, they will not do that. They will only use their capital improvements fund. Item number 5 is ARPA. There is an amount of $22,700 in there. That's going to be related to the Emergency Command Center. Members may remember that as a part of State Finance Council action back in December of 2022, State Fair was approved $250,000 ARPA for an Emergency Command Center. As that project has went forward, the State Fair indicates that they no longer expect to have an emergency command center as things on the grounds have changed. As a result of that, they do show having actual expenditures from ARPA. However, again, that would be showing as encumbrances that the agency has not actually spent. They thought they would, but they didn't. As a result of that, the agency has asked for the possibility of repurposing that ARPA monies that could be repurposed for the lighting projects as well. I would note that for the committee. Item number 6 is the State Fair Fee Fund. You do see a decrease here of $456,000. I would note that's mostly related to, again, those capital improvements moving from the State Fair Fee Fund to the Capital Improvements Fund. However, you do see some increases within the State Fair Fee Fund as well, mostly as it relates to those temporary seasonal employees that do work for the Kansas State Fair during the Kansas State Fair for some increases for those folks. Mr. Chair, I can certainly stand for questions or I can move forward into FY 2027.
Forward, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On page 575 is FY 2027. Item number 1, that one-time adjustment you will see here. For 2026, the legislature did approve $365,152 to pay off debt service as it relates to the Expo Center rehabilitation. Those debts have since been paid off. Moving forward, that was considered one time. Moving forward, the base budget of the Kansas State Fair will not have any state general fund. Item number 2, you do see, though, the agency still requesting general fund, and that is a result of the enhancement request. The agency does request $750,000 for the livestock barns upgrades. They do indicate that the building needs electrical and structural upgrades. They think that $750,000 will allow them to begin the work and get about halfway there, with total project cost for this to be $1.5 million. And they do estimate being able to get that $750,000 from other non-state sources. So essentially the request is for the state to have half of that, and then the other private donors' donations working with their foundation to get the remaining balance. Mr. Chair, on page 576, you do see those same items that did occur in 2026, and that is to say an increase in the Capital Improvements Fund. Again, they will budget all capital improvement expenditures from this fund. Item number 4, State Fair Fee Fund, you do see a decrease. Again, that's mostly attributable to simply a funding swap from Fee Fund to Improvements Fund. But again, you do see some of those increases there as it relates to salary for temporary employees during the Kansas State Fair, and also to some increased estimated expenditures as it relates to entertainers and performers that come to the State Fair to perform. Mr. Chair, I can certainly stand for questions, and I do know as well that should the committee have any questions that I may be unable to answer, Brian Scholes, the general manager of the State Fair, is with us today, and he may be able to answer any questions as well.
Thank you, Mr. Drury, for your presentation on the ARPA money. I'm not 100% clear. There is 250 still remaining, or just the 22,700?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There would be, it is about $250,000. It's a little bit less than 250. That is because the agency did actually spend an amount of, I want to say around $5,000. It's actually been spent. The rest was encumbered, so saying they estimated to spend it. So not quite $250,000, around 245 to 240.
And to repurpose those funds would take legislative action to authorize that?
Mr. Chair, in speaking with the revisers, that is my understanding, is that since the State Fair has already previously been approved, ARPA expenditures for lighting previously by the legislature, that should the legislature include some language in the bill to say that these additional monies can be used for that, that would be allowable. However, again, as you stated, that would require an affirmative action by the legislature.
The FTEs, you've done a great job in telling this committee and other committees the exact number. Are the 27 filled to your knowledge without looking on you? You can look in a little bit if you don't know for certain.
Mr. Chair, no, I don't know right off the top of my head, but I do have that point in time report I can pull.
We'll find out in just a little bit. And committee additional questions of our fiscal analyst, Senator Shane?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Not that it matters too much, more out of curiosity. Am I mistaken? I thought that all unspent ARPA funds were supposed to be returned. It seems crazy that in 2026 we're still talking about ARPA funds, but.
Mr. Drury, I think I could answer that, but I prefer it for you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know this ARPA thing seems to keep going and going, but there is an end date, and that is September of this calendar year. So it is possible that you still may see ARPA expenditures in fiscal year 2027, since 2027 starts in July. But yes, that date is quick approaching. In this calendar year, it must be spent or it will be remitted back to the federal government.
Just a moment, Senator Shane. Spent or encumbered?
My understanding, Mr. Chair, is that those dollars have to be out the door, actually spent.
All right, thank you. Senator Shane.
Thank you. And perhaps State Fair would be better suited to answer this. Are we absolutely certain that those funds would be expended by that date?
Mr. Chair, I believe I can answer that question. The State Fair has used a contractor before. They have the scope of the project pretty well lined out and ironed out. My understanding that should they get approval for this, they would be able to get those monies encumbered and spent quickly.
Additional questions of our fiscal, Senator Blue?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Looking on, let me find it real quick. It was on the capital outlay page. Yes. Capital Outlay Improvement Fund. I'm curious, since everything's now coming to this fund, 572. Under revenues, where it says state sales tax, is that the state sales tax of the 10 days the state fair is open, the funds going back to the state fair?
Mr. Chair, Senator, that is my understanding. I also believe, though, and I'm not super well versed in this, but I do believe there is some conversations on some of those other sales tax items that take place not during the state fair. But it is my understanding that that line would encompass the 10 days of the state fair.
Just the 10 days?
That is my understanding. I'll make sure that that's clear, and I do believe Brian may be able to answer that in better detail than me.
That's great. Thank you.
So what about the others, the compensating tax, liquor tax? Is that primarily the 10-day, the state fair time?
Mr. Chair, that is my understanding. As you'll know, the members will know that over the last several years, those state sales tax and liquor tax and the sale of alcohol at the state fair is allowed to keep the revenues that would have been remitted to the state general fund. As opposed to that remitting to the state general fund, they do keep that as part of their capital improvements fund.
Alcohol is always a great thing for family events. One quick question from the chair before we move to another. That was just a comment. That wasn't a question. I see, and I'm not finding the page right quick. Yes, I am. On page 570, debt service, there's nothing for 27. Does the state fair have no debt?
That is correct, Mr. Chair, that once that Expo Center is paid off this fiscal year, and it may have already been paid off, I'm not sure, but we are about 3/4 of the way through the fiscal year, the State Fair will have no debt service obligations moving forward, unless authorized later on by the legislature.
That's good news. Centrifag.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for your presentation. I was just kind of looking at this capital improvement fund, and I'm trying to understand when you look at expenditures on that, and you got salary and wages and contractual services, you might have answered that while I was reading, and debt service and that kind of stuff. And that number going red on us in 2026, is that normal for salary and wages to be in a capital improvement fund?
Mr. Chair, Senator, I believe I can answer this question. The State Fair does have a facilities management program. So then those individuals that do work on the grounds, on the buildings, it's likely that some of those salaries and wage expenditures are showing there. It is also possible if they do have temporary employees that come on the State Fair to work, you may see some salary expenditures there. I would say out of all the agencies that I work with, I don't have many that have a specific capital improvements fund like the State Fair, so I can't necessarily speak to what I've seen as being typical, Mr. Chair, Senator.
Thank you. Additional questions of our staff? Seeing none, when you get a chance on the FTEs, just let us know. Other than that, we appreciate you providing the committee with information. We do have with
Thank you,
us
Mr. Chair.
today the General Manager for the Kansas State Fair, Mr. Brian Schultz. Mr. Schultz, if you have some answers to questions that have been asked or information you think beneficial to the committee, not about your operation, not about what you do. We know what the State Fair is, but as it relates to budget numbers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Members of the committee, we are currently at 27. We do have 27 full-time employees. We have 2 positions open. We've had retirements. We're in the process of filling those. We're hoping to have all those done by the first part of May with the time that it takes to move everybody from their positions, getting it posted and getting them hired. So we're hoping by the 1st of May to have all the positions filled.
Approximately how long when were these retirements?
Just in the last couple weeks. Yes.
All right, thank you. And any additional information?
I just want to put these to your attention. They're in your packet. This is just the overview of the 25 State Fair and also our economic impact study that we had created. And just just quick, $106 million of economic impact is provided to the state from the State Fair during the 10 days of the Kansas State Fair. And then throughout the whole year, we have about $123 million economic impact to Hutchinson, Reno County, and the state of Kansas. And then to talk about some of the budget items that were put forward. The dairy barn was constructed in the early 1900s. We have been, limping it along. In the early 2000s, we did a major master plan of that area. That building was not included in it. This barn is a essential part of our livestock side. Our dairy, llamas, alpacas, and things like that through the State Fair. We do need to look at the roof, the electrical, also restrooms and things in that area. So that's where that monies would come to help offset the costs.
Mr. Drury indicated that you or I'll say the State Fair feels that they could raise $750,000 in private funds, or that's my language. How confident are you in that, and how confident that this could be completed in a fiscal year? In other words, would it be, if this committee chooses and the legislature chooses, a good idea to break it into a couple of different fiscal years to make certain that you have plenty of time to look at the projects, complete the projects, and raise the private fund?
Mr. Chair, I would say it would probably be a couple years, because by the time you get it through procurement, getting all we've gone out and done not contracts, but worked with contractors to get estimated budgets of what it would cost to do that. But now to send it out to get procurement to send it out for contracting and stuff will take probably 4 to 6 months, depending on, and then to get them hired. As far as the fundraising side of that, we have started the conversations already. One of the questions that was asked on the House side was, our full-time staff, we have an electrician, we have HVAC, plumbing, and all that. Could some of those dollars be in kind as far as us putting work towards it, which would also cut the cost of it?
Did you have an answer?
And that's what we would propose, is that we would be doing a lot of the work inside instead of hiring out contractors. But it would still take probably 2 years to finish it by the time we got everything done and working through all the other events that are happening on the grounds.
There's two reasons I asked the question of breaking it down. One, a smaller amount of money being spent. But two, if we appropriate and you don't spend it, the legislature's likely to not approve reappropriation.
Right. And Mr. Chair, with the lighting project that was not reappropriated, we were not wanting to spend it just to get it out the door. We were thinking it was being reappropriated. That was our mistake. We had everything in line. We just didn't want to, just say, yes, we're going to get it done and encumber it, and then it doesn't look good on us either. So we definitely know that.
I appreciate that, because we don't like agencies just spending money because you happen to have money.
Exactly. And Mr. Chair, going back to the information that Mr. Drury talked about, the encumbrances, we have a fairly new financial person. We have had conversations as of the 1st of June every year. We will now have a protocol in place that if there are encumbrances that are not being used, those are being taken out, so we will not have this issue again in the future.
Committee questions of Mr. Schultz. Senator Blue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was watching you when we were talking about the liquor tax, and you were shaking your head that you disagreed with Mr. Drury, so I'm curious what you were shaking your head about.
Senator, Mr. Chair, my understanding is that the liquor tax is year-long, because we do have about 500 other events that go on the grounds, and some of those do include alcohol events. So that, to my understanding, is a year-round event.
So when events, do any of the events bring their own alcohol? Or is that allowed, or do they have to purchase from the fair?
Mr. Chair, we do allow them to, there's different ways that we allow them on the grounds. If they are going to have an event that is, they're giving the alcohol away, then they can bring it on. If they're having an event where they're selling it, they have to have a licensed individual selling it. And we do have 5 individual organizations on the grounds that sell it. We ask them to be the first ones that have the opportunity. That way we know that they know our protocols, and then that is put into place.
Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your presentation. When I look at this impact study, has this been shown to Reno or the county and the city people?
Mr. Chair, Senator, this is something we just got done about 3 weeks ago, and it will be, my plan is to go in front of Reno County commissioners and also the city commissioners. I have talked to City Administrator Enrico Villegas about this. He has seen it, and we are going to be on the docket to present to that, as well as the Chamber of Commerce in Hutch.
So I think with what the request that's coming in here, I'm thinking that we need to have a partner here. You know, when I look at this number and say 106 million economic impact to the local economy, 106 million. And the sales tax, when you look at those numbers, and the bed tax, they're generating a lot of money off of this. And they need to be coming to the game. I think we've done our share on a lot of this stuff, and hopefully you'll have a good conversation with that. That's where I'm going. I'd be happy to come up and get in that with you. So,
Mr. Chair, Senator, I would appreciate that. If you remember last year, you had, for the Emergency Operations Command Center, you had recommended that I go back to our city and our county to request some funds for that. The city was very amenable to giving some dollars towards that. My conversation with the county was not so amenable, basically saying that if the state wants to build something on their grounds, it's the state's responsibility and not the county's responsibility. So $0 would be allocated towards anything at the fair. I'm just giving you a heads up on that because you had asked at the last.
And I appreciate that. And I think you need to have another deal with the county too. That's my opinion.
And one other thing on that, this does not include spending by any of our concessionaires, any of our vendors. This is strictly Kansas State Fair expenditures. We're doing another study here shortly that will add in all the concessionaires, vendors, and everybody else that comes on the grounds. So this number will increase quite a bit.
And Senator Fagg, I certainly appreciate that. I'm guessing that Butler County would love to have the state fair move there and would probably provide some incentives, maybe some Star-Bought.
You know, with this kind of deal, yeah.
Well, that is long frustrated some members on this committee, Mr. Schultz, and we're not blaming you, of course, but why Reno County does not see the benefit of having this fair. The state fair is only in Reno County, and but that's a whole other topic. We won't belabor the point. Senator Shane.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Schultz, just a question on admission fees, participation fees, vendor contracts and fees. Have there been conversations about modest increases or restructuring contracts for vendors in an effort to try to increase revenues that are coming through those sources of revenue for the state fair?
Mr. Chairman, Senator, yes, we are looking at that. It has been probably 10 plus years for increases in any type of gate admission, and we are looking at that for 2027. Currently, we're kind of putting some programs together. As you know, when people hear that there's going to be an increase, there is going to be a major uproar. But we also have to remember that we have expenses that we have to deal with. The cost of 275 acres is not cheap to run, and we have to put that out there. So we are definitely looking at it. We have brought it to the board's attention. And so in 27, there will be a slight increase in admission, and we'll also bump concessionaire and vendors.
Okay. And as a follow-up to that, is that anticipated change, is that reflected in the change in receipt projections in the 27 budget, or is that not captured yet?
Mr. Chair, Senator, it isn't captured yet. We just started the conversations on that. When we started looking, we're working with the Kansas Highway Patrol as well to help offset some of their expenses. So we've done a little bit of an increase on our ticket side, and that kind of opened up the conversations of we need to do that across the board. So it is something that we will be putting into play here later this year with meetings and then announcing it after State Fair next year.
Okay, thank you.
Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I know that the lighting project was going well, and help me understand, you're asking for $250,000 plus the additional SGS that was lapsed, and then also any remaining ARPA funds, or are the ARPA funds where you're getting the $250,000?
Mr. Chair, Senator, it will be the ARPA funds, that I think it's 243,000. That would be what would be allocated towards that lighting program is what I think has been recommended.
And then you're also asking the additional 31,573 that was lapsed.
Mr. Chair, Senator, I believe the total amount being asked for would be that $243,000 that would come out of ARPA. There would be no other additional SGF, I believe is the direction that it was being stated.
Additional questions of Mr. Schultz, committee? All right. We do appreciate you being here, committee.
Thank you.
We are up against the clock, so we will not have time to complete our recommendations. I want to poll the committee just quickly. Do you prefer to meet at lunchtime today or after session? Okay, those that prefer lunchtime. Oh, no one wants to meet at lunch. Oh, okay. Okay.
Is the chairman providing lunch, Mr. Chairman?
The chair of the Utilities Committee said he would provide lunch. would it be a real hardship for anyone to be here at lunchtime? And I know there may not be a time because we already heard that after session, we will lose a member. Senator Francisco?
This is Kansas Day at the Capitol. Maybe it's appropriate to deal with the state fair, but it's also appropriate to see our constituents who come up for Kansas Day. So do you have do you think we could get it done in how many minutes?
Depends on how many recommendations come from the committee and how much discussion there is of recommendations from the committee.
I would prefer to do it after session.
Senator Reichman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I would think I'd go along with our senator from Lawrence that we're not going to do hardly anything in the Senate today. It's going to be in and out. I bet you we're out of there before 3. So I think we could do it then.
I apologize, I was distracted. What?
I really don't want to repeat it, but thank you.
Okay, I'll ask someone else. Senator Francisco?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Reichman was agreeing with me. He thought that the Senate session would be quite short and that there would be time after that.
The Senate session will be relatively short, I'm confident. I just didn't know if anyone had any appointments that were vital. So we will plan to meet, and the chair will announce on the floor about 15 minutes after adjournment, and we will ask our staff to find out if this room is available at that time, which would be around 3 o'clock. And I'm sorry, Senator Blue, that you're not available, but you can certainly be on WebEx if you are available at that time. Okay, we will plan on that committee. I appreciate your time. We are adjourned.